Tree stumps are no longer a problem as the
Get ready for an unforgettable experience. The thunderous roar of engines, the sharp crack of timber, and the breathtaking sight of massive trees crashing down in seconds. This video takes logging to a whole new level. Don't miss it.
A centuries-old spruce tree is being felled with the full skill and experience of a lumberjack. How long do you think it will take? Tree stumps are no longer a problem as the Raptor 200 kilonewtons, magically, makes them disappear after harvest. Does this technology surprise you? The Raptor 800 HDDLA-HWIM 900, with 430 HP, swiftly clears a garden full of branches and stumps. Do you think it will finish in no time? Look at that. The LKT-81T hauls freshly harvested logs over steep, picturesque mountain passes. Do you find this scene romantic? Three-meter logs are effortlessly split by the Velits 3M with 108 kilonewtons of force. Does this power impress you? While my old lady pushes me on deadlines. The pond scorpion, with 150 kilonewtons torque, tirelessly harvests wood in the pitch black night. Who's under more pressure here? In the freezing, snow-filled night, the pond scorpion king C50 11 meters H6 tirelessly harvests wood, ready to be packed and delivered to your home. Can you picture this scene? Under my old lady's command, I effortlessly lifted a 40 centimeters tree stump from the ground. Was it my strength or hers? Removing a tree stump has never been this easy. Just 3 builder's props and a 2-ton winch. Do you think this method really works? These 20-year-old workers are felling a centuries-old Paulownia tree, possibly as old as their ancestors. How do you think they feel about this? Can you believe it? This wood splitter was homemade using scrap tools and an engine set for disposal. How well do you think it performs? The Rotobeck 150 kilonewtons chainsaw tirelessly cuts through 30-meter logs. With this power, is there any challenge it can't handle? The 1800mm excavator saw is swiftly cutting red gum logs into firewood. Do you think this is the most efficient method? The 50 kilonewtons firewood machine makes splitting 1 ton of wood per day effortless. His wife's orders. Will he finish on time? The Petzolato PTH 1400 1000M powered by a 1150 HP Caterpillar C27 engine. Shreds logs up to 800 mm wide at 300 cubic meters per hour. Can you believe this insane speed? My old lady wonders, how long will the Gens chipper with 65 kilonewtons torque take to shred those tons of wood? Any guesses? With the 45 kilonewtons Johnsard CS 2245 hand saw, an 18-inch log will be split in no time. How long do you think it'll take? This 395 XP handheld cutter is powerful. If I had it, I'd be way faster than him. Or, is it not that simple? Let's see how the Spalk Fast Performance Edition 150 kilonewtons splits ash and spruce trees. Do you think this machine is powerful enough for all types of wood?
Get ready for an unforgettable experience. The thunderous roar of engines, the sharp crack of timber, and the breathtaking sight of massive trees crashing down in seconds. This video takes logging to a whole new level. Don't miss it.
A 100-year-old, 49-foot spruce tree is being swiftly felled with a Stihl MS-660. How long do you think it will take? With the Frontier OS 27 to 150 kilonewtons portable sawmill, I can now cut planks from 40 centimeters logs right at the forest edge. Would you try this? The Stihl Mississippi 260 chainsaw seems outdated compared to newer models. But can this veteran still keep up? Hanging from a tree to cut it down? That's risky. But for $100, my old lady would definitely sign me up. PTH 1400 Petzolato wood chipper. Powered by a 1150 HP Caterpillar engine. Effortlessly grinds massive logs into fine wood chips. Does this power impress you? Oh, my old lady never finds out about this homemade log splitter. Built from a Siberian or Niven harvester axle and gearbox, or my monthly funding will be gone. How can fire inside a tree explode like this? This giant hollow chimney reminds me of cozy winter meals. Do you see it too? He should build a table for 10 to 15 logs, so he doesn't have to bend for each one. A slightly slanted surface would help the logs press themselves down, right? The CAT 320 DFM 250 kN grapple saw effortlessly lifts massive logs. Do you think it could handle even bigger ones? This tractor driver seems luckier than skilled. His John Deere 6250R almost made it, but still clipped the rim after nearly backing around the barrier. Can you believe it? With just the Log Max 4000T, Volvo ECR 145 Elm 400 kilonewtons, an entire 300-hectare forest can be cleared in a day. Is this speed unbelievable? The Raptor 800 cleanup machine finished the job perfectly, just before my old lady came to check. Think she'll approve? This instructor is so skilled. I bet he could even maneuver a wheelbarrow like a pro.
Trzeba ją przytrzymać, zrób go.
I'm not a mechanic or the designer of the T360 Forestry, but its hydraulics could use an upgrade for more pressure. Still, it's an impressive machine. Logs scattered in the yard are quickly being cut into firewood by the Stihl MS 462 cm. How long do you think this will take? Unbelievable. This homemade saw runs on a 50 kilonewtons torque motor. Can it perform as powerfully as professional chainsaws? With the 45 kilonewtons Johnsard CS 2245 hand saw, an 18-inch log will be split in no time. How long do you think it'll take?
Get ready for an unforgettable experience. The thunderous roar of engines, the sharp crack of timber, and the breathtaking sight of massive trees crashing down in seconds. This video takes logging to a whole new level. Don't miss it.
He was a bit too confident in his tree cutting skills, until the tree kicked him back. Ever seen something this ironic? The Brux 1006 PT chipper shredded 2 tons of wood in just one day. Do you think it could handle even more? The Pons Fox 2018 Sadoza, with 180 kilonewtons torque, glides through the snowy forest, felling towering trees. Would you want to drive this beast? The Pons Scorpion H5, with 330 HP, tirelessly fells massive trees towering dozens of feet high. Do you think this beast can keep going non-stop? The Mack R600 truck, loaded with wood, rolls out of Honduras on a dusty red road. Will this journey go smoothly to the end? Mountain roads don't scare me. My old lady is waiting for me to deliver tons of timber. Would I dare return empty-handed? The Stump Boss grinder, with 250 kilonewtons torque, magically makes stubborn stumps disappear. Can you believe how fast this works? After grinding this stump, thousands more await the 260 HP grinder. Can it handle them all? The Husqvarna 365 slices through logs effortlessly. Wished my old lady would fund me to get one. Think I stand a chance? Felling a giant tree with the Stihl MS-881, the most powerful chainsaw, paired with 10 years of experience. How long do you think it'll take him? I've used it, and it's truly a handy tool. Splitting wood is much easier than using an axe, especially for the elderly. Would you try making one from scrap metal? "30 minutes, 1 ton of firewood ready. A simple yet powerful wood splitter, perfect for winter. Would you want one?" Everything runs smoothly and effortlessly with this ultra-light mini chainsaw. Do you think it's powerful enough for all tasks? To cut this 55-inch oak log, I need a 400 kilonewtons high-power sawmill. Do you think this machine can handle it effortlessly? The FH20R, with 190 kilonewtons torque, effortlessly harvests stumps in the garden. Do you think it can handle even bigger ones? Even thick brush is no obstacle. With this 300 kilonewtons mini grinder, everything gets cleared with ease. What else do you think it could take down? With the AHWIRT 400 jets at 400 kilonewtons mulcher, my old lady no longer worries about garden brush. Do you think this beast could clear an entire forest? Now, shredding massive logs is effortless with the Brux 8063 Street 380KN. What size wood do you think this beast can handle? My old lady won't worry about this 30-inch stump anymore. The Stihl MS362 will take care of it in no time. How long do you think it'll take? A 60-inch log is being swiftly split by this powerful stilled chainsaw, 8.7 HP. 121.6 cc. How long do you think it takes?
Get ready for an unforgettable experience. The thunderous roar of engines, the sharp crack of timber, and the breathtaking sight of massive trees crashing down in seconds. This video takes logging to a whole new level. Don't miss it.
A twin pine tree, standing 90 feet tall, was felled at once by the lumberjack. How long do you think it took him? Oh no, at 50 feet high, right after cutting the tree top. It fell straight on his head. Do you think he's okay? The LESORUB gear-driven sawmill, operated by 4 workers, makes wood splitting effortless, with a capacity of dozens of tons per day. Would you give it a try? The John Deere 1070 harvester, with 190 HP, powers through 5 hectares of forest despite minus 10 degrees Celsius temperatures and heavy snow. The lumberjack is battling a massive tree stump. What an incredible sight. Do you think he'll split it easily? Watching this wood grinder devour 2-meter logs like candy is pure satisfaction. Do you think it can handle even bigger logs? The 190 HP Pons Wiesent hauls 3 tons of 2 by 3 meters logs out of the forest at minus 15 degrees Celsius on a snowy, muddy road. Will it make it through safely? With just 30 HP, the turbo sawmill glides through a massive 1.2 meter log like butter. Can you believe how smooth this is? The diesel-powered portable sawmill swiftly cuts a 70 cm log into perfect square pieces with minimal effort. What do you think of this efficiency? The 80 HP excavator struggles to unload and neatly stack 2 tons of wood. Will it get the job done smoothly? This excavator works brilliantly in a yard full of thousands of tons of wood. The operator's skills are next level, do you agree? The Husky wood splitter, with 20 tons of force, effortlessly splits a 50 centimeters log. Could firewood chopping get any easier than this? The LKT-81 Turbo, with 200 HP, hauls dozens of 60-foot logs out of the forest, conquering rough terrain. Do you think it could handle even more? Unbelievable speed. A 60 centimeters tree trunk takes just 3 seconds for the diamond harvester to cut down. Can you believe this efficiency? The Groenveld Stump Killer 1270, with 250 HP, tackles a 50 centimeters tree stump right after felling. How long do you think it'll take? The 350 HP truck hauls 40 tons of wood down the mountain. Looking like a heavyweight champion lifting massive weights. Impressive, right? At -10 degrees Celsius. The grinder devours tons of hardwood, but it's still no match for my old lady's appetite. Dare to disagree? The 260 HP Pond's elephant harvester maneuvers through muddy slopes to haul 5 tons of wood out of the forest. Do you think it will make it through smoothly? The 430 HP man truck hauls 50 tons of wood through winding curves. The driver's skills are impressive. Would you dare take the wheel? Oh wow, look at that. The 350 HP Panguapuli logging truck, carrying 20 tons of wood, faces a steep hill and sharp turn. How do you rate the driver's skills?
Get ready for an unforgettable experience. The thunderous roar of engines, the sharp crack of timber, and the breathtaking sight of massive trees crashing down in seconds. This video takes logging to a whole new level. Don't miss it.
The lumberjack is taking down a 200-foot giant pine, like a knight battling a beast. How long do you think you'll take to win? Luckily, the road was empty, avoiding a disaster. The man standing just 2 meters away must have felt his heart stop. Have you ever been in such a close call? Wow, a 5-ton monster log from Mount Merapi has been cut and transported. Now ready to become a masterpiece in the sawmill. What do you think it will be? He tried lowering a 40 centimeters log, but it was so heavy that it lifted him instead. Everyone burst into laughter, would you? It seems the lumberjack miscalculated, causing the tree to crash into a church, severely damaging the roof. How do you think he'll fix this? The skidder lacked 60 kilowatts, hauls logs in minus 20 degrees Celsius. But one wrong turn sends them sliding, leaving the tractor stuck. How would you get it out? The excavator tried to bring down a 60-foot tree, but it fell straight onto the machine. Luckily, the operator escaped just in time. What do you think of this close call? A semi-truck suddenly caught fire at the rear tires. With a calm reaction, the driver quickly detached the tractor, preventing disaster. How would you rate his experience? Oh no. Everything was smooth until a red car suddenly swerved across the road. At high speed, the driver couldn't react in time, and disaster struck. What do you think happened next? A massive 3.5-foot tree, hollow inside, suddenly shed its outer bark as the lumberjack felled it. Luckily, he's safe. Do you think this was a close call? The Vermeer BC1000XL chipper shreds branches in just 2 seconds. But it's still slower than my old lady finishing a burger. Can you believe that? The 300 HP John Deere 853M harvests towering trees as if mowing grass, fast and precise. Does this level of accuracy impress you? He tried felling a 70-foot tree with an 80 centimeters base. But a miscalculation sent it crashing onto the roof. A costly mistake. Sawmilling is a key process in the lumberyard. Logs of all shapes and sizes are precisely cut and refined. Curious to see the final masterpiece? The PTH 1200/660M Petzolato chipper. Powered by a 375 HP Caterpillar C9 engine. Devours a 30-foot log and turns it into sawdust in just 20 seconds. Impressive speed, right?